Okay, guys, this is the TV lecture that we missed this week because we spent the whole class working on. Oh, she's mad at me for missing the TV lecture. Sorry. Uh, yeah, all right. So I'm just gonna kind of rip through this here. Rip through this here, folks. What's your favorite TV show right now? It's one of my many dialogues that I do. Uh, Where in the house and when do you watch it? That's my Irish. Oh, I better stop because I'll turn this thing off and watch another second of it and who can blame you? Normally I ask, I've done this lecture quite a few times, although I try to update it every time I do it. I ask people just to think about their TV watching habits. What's your favorite TV show right now? Or maybe it's just YouTube, I don't know, or a channel on YouTube. Uh, where are you and when do you watch it? What do you watch on? Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's your Mac, maybe it's a bigger TV set. And then I ask you to think back 5 years. And we kind of, that way you kind of, through your personal experience, can think through how things have changed in the world of TV/ video. And it has changed, hasn't it? And it's in the midst of a lot of change right now. I don't think there's any medium that's has more changes and more frequent changes than television, video. Television, video, radio, audio, right? Television is the device, and video is the format, radio is the device, audio is the format, kind of similar. And there's a big pencil. Oh, what is Gibby doing now? I like asking that of folks because usually that summons memories of a certain TV show that my guess is some of you in the class watched. I can raise my hand and say that I watched it. I think I even admitted it in the welcome letter I did for the class because my daughter's now 26. It means, I don't know, 15 years ago, 14 years ago, I was watching every episode of iCarly, every episode of SpongeBob. And iCarly actually is a very good show. It reminds me quite a bit of one of the first TV comedy shows called I Love Lucy that you may have heard of. Uh, your grandparents watched I Love Lucy. Um, it was shot live, starring Lucille Ball from the movies and Desi Arnaz, who was a band leader from Cuba. They got married, and Lucy, when she didn't become the star she wanted to be in movies, um, went over to TV and signed a very smart deal with, I forget the name of the studio at the time, but they owned the rights to their reruns, which was amazingly profitable. They formed their own studio called Desilu, Desi and Lucy, and produced a lot of other shows and had quite a lucrative business producing TV shows in the 50s. And iCarly reminds me of that. The writing is very good in iCarly. The characters are very cute and funny. I thought the acting is very good. Sam, I think, was my favorite character. But Gibby was kind of fun too, and normally I have my class look up what he's doing now, and I think the last time we did that, he was a would-be rapper. And you can maybe try it and see what he's up to now. TV is in flux. And if you looked up what influx meant or what flux meant, would basically say that it's like the universe. Everything's expanding, everything's moving. Everything's up in the air and hasn't landed yet, but a lot of change. And this is a little agenda for our discussion of TV. Yeah, just like I said. Okay, TV. There's the device, an older one, a newer one, and now uh, pretty much all the growth in online advertising is on mobile devices and it's in video. Yep. And this is a shot of watching Hulu on a cell phone. Just to mention, this is the kind of TV I've got. I had a good nice Samsung TV, but I made a mistake. Every once in a while in the summer, I get flies in my apartment for one reason or another. I guess it's not as airtight as I'd like it to be, and I used to keep my compost bucket in my kitchen. That didn't help. And so this fly managed to land in the upper right-hand corner of my nice Samsung TV. Not to be outdone, I grabbed my fly swatter. I have two of them because if I like something, I like to get two of them. I don't know why. I grabbed one of the two fly swatters and I said, I've got you now. And I whacked that little guy. I did get him. Fortunately, I also got my Samsung TV pretty good. And that ended up being the end of the Samsung TV. And not being too anxious to spend another, big chunk of money on a TV. I got a cheaper TV, so it's a Roku TV. Has Roku built in, and Roku now is measuring viewing habits. So the reason it's cheaper TV than otherwise is because Roku measures, it keeps track of your data. There are computers in the TV to keep track of viewing habits, and they can sell your viewing habits to advertisers. And so you end up getting potentially individually targeted advertising, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the presentation today. You guys know I like definitions. There's a definition of television. Let's take the video one. Whoop. Definition of television is it's a system transmitting visual devices and sound. And second is it's the device. And by the way, in the history of the whole thing, radio transmitted audio on radio waves. And this guy named Philo Farnsworth, an American from the Midwest, he grew up on a farm somewhere in the Midwest. He invented a way to send audio and video and images on radio waves and then have them be picked up by a receiver, television. Amazing. And television started its advance into the homes of America and the world pretty much after World War II. Video, recording, reproducing, broadcasting of moving visual images. Okay. I like my definitions. So yeah, there's Philo Farnsworth. There he is right there. In his three-piece suit. By the way, the first image to be sent, as far as is known, across radio waves to be picked up by a very early prototype television set, the first image was a dollar sign. I think that's deliciously ironic. And folks, these are the days before cable, okay? And so televisions were wireless. They had antenna. You put an antenna on the top of your house, or maybe you had antenna on your TV set. One on the house tended to work a little better. Here's a wacky looking antenna on somebody's house, TV antenna. And a wire would connect it to your TV set in your living room, wherever it was. And the antenna received the radio signals and the TV signals on radio waves and sent it to your TV. So, yeah. Okay. And of course, that's how TV started with antenna just on radio waves. And then in the beginning of the 80s, really, is when cable started its move. And it's just because of pretty cluttered and crowded example of lots of cables stretching all over the place. So companies started wiring up homes in big cities, uh, and basically, in exchange for the investment of wiring them up, the companies got a monopoly. The local cable companies got monopoly to send television through the cables. And this also often involved satellite and radio waves. So a signal would be sent up to the satellite via radio waves and then sent back down to a receiver, a terrestrial receiver, that would put the signal into a cable and send it to your home with very, very good reproductive quality, and also importantly, the ability to have literally hundreds of, if not thousands, of different channels, different programming choices. With the old TV sets with the antenna, we had basically three networks: ABC, CBS, and NBC, and not too much more than that. But cable opened up the ability to have hundreds of choices in terms of programming. And yeah, now we have coaxial cable, and the coaxial cable we have coming to our homes is able to do your cable TV, your telephone, if you should so wish, and your internet. So most people's homes have cables unless they are in some kind of rural area where it just didn't pay to have lots of cables. People still have satellite dishes and they can get their phone, internet, and TV via satellite dish and radio waves. Voice over Internet Protocol. Yeah, so remember we talked about that in a class about a year ago, DM300. We had a whole class in telemarketing. And you may remember that these coaxial cables allowed your phone to be sent over the internet, which means it allows for things like robo-dialers, etc. Voice over Internet Protocol. So as I said, the cable allowed all of a sudden all these channels. This is a shot from your book, 2008 to 2016, showing average numbers of channels received per household and then average number of channels tuned per household. Doesn't change that much. Yeah, number of channels goes up, but you don't watch too many more than 15. Okay. By the way, this grinning fellow here is a very, very good friend of mine, one of my best friends. His name is Andrew Starr, and in fact, I just saw him a couple days ago. I have a fishing boat. He lives in Croton, and we keep the boat on the bank of the Hudson River in Croton over the spring and summer and use it to go swimming and fishing and stuff like that. And I just took the boat upstate to store it for the winter. So Andy, he was in the TV business a long time. He was one of the early reps at ESPN, sales rep. He was representing ESPN to advertisers. And when I first met him, he was working for a local channel in the New York area that was based in Long Island. And trying to get his little channel with not a lot of viewers included in New York DMA TV buys. And he was very good at it because he's got a very engaging personality, as you can see from that genuine smile. And he helped me put together this piece, particularly on the how you buy TV, because there's some systems and software that he was able to tell me about. So thank you, Andy. Well, also, you remember how I keep showing these grumpy looking creative people all dressed in black, and they always wear, they always have to wear black everything. Uh, they may not always want to do radio or out of home or other alternative media, but they always want to do TV because basically they all want to make movies. But for you, you need to, as the media planner and the media guru on a piece of business, do you need to tell a visual story, and do you have a big budget? Because TV production can often be very expensive hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, like with the Super Bowl. And buying TV is expensive too. So media time's expensive. So I'm going to stop